Greetings, vloggers, bloggers, potters, and followers. Dustin here on Dustin's Dynasty. It's a warm St. Patrick's Day evening here. It's another great week, and I'm doing my vlogs a little early for the week. But I feel, I'm feeling in the good mood, and I'm calm, and I'm having a good day, and I'm being positive today. So that's always a good thing, I guess. And I'm just deciding I'm going to do them early. So, we talked about last vlog. We talked about in the last vlog about sharing over sharing. Now today now this vlog is going to be about boundaries, and we have to understand boundaries. They're not concrete. They're not all the time. Boundaries is very important. In a home, especially if you as an autistic live with others. Having the understanding that the autistic's bedroom is indeed the safe space, and that should be first and foremost understood in any situation, is where they and anybody who lives in a room by themselves should have the freedom to be themselves and express how they feel and exhibit what they want. Sometimes it's when we're when teenagers are growing up, when young children are growing up into teenage years, and it was hard for me too. But when you're growing up, it's important to instill that some things are just not done in front of everybody else. Some things are reserved for private areas. Some things are reserved for public areas. Same thing goes, as you age, and the evolution of social media over the years. Social media when I was of teenage age or pre-tween or whatever was not of prevalence in the late 90s. I had my first computer at my parents' house when I was, I believe, 12 or 13. So that tells you that, technology wasn't quite as accessible, and I was one of the first in my community to have internet piped into my home, and it was broadband internet, and not a lot of people had that. So I consider myself very fortunate to be exposed well, to be exposed to the internet at that age. At that time, even though our middle schools were going under renovation at the time, internet when at pre-renovation was very limited, and then broadband was introduced throughout the district. So having access to technology was very scarce. We were a very rural district, although we had 8 elementaries at the time and 2 junior highs and a VOTEC and a high school. It was very scarcely, very limited to get access to computers. They were reserved for secondary purposes, so and they were not all internet connected. Eventually, they were. We learned things, but as part of that, grew up. That generation, as what I lived in, grew up and learned. What was appropriate, what was not, and there was policies we signed. We followed. But when you're an autistic person, they just throw a paper at you and say sign it. You don't understand what the consequences are of that policy. We were always told that we would get billed for it if something would happen to the technological equipment, if there was a virus or something of that nature. But we were never understood the whole. Other than that, we were never clearly defined what the policy was. I'm sure it's been expanded, renovated, because now 20 years, almost 15 years later, 15, 17 years later, we're now into where everybody gets a device policy. So we're on the one-on-one device policy. So that's a big thing. And that's just like being at home at a young age now compared to when I'm in my 30s now. I hate to say my age, but we're developing that. Technology is more abundant. It's more bound. There's more, if not having the safeguards and the controls set by the carers and the parents and the supportives. We're not, and even autistics alike, because sometimes, we don't need notifications. Notifications are a pain sometimes. Sometimes the text sound goes off too many times. Sometimes, a social media apps like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, one of those, any of those, may exhibit, too many signals, or you're not, or some people you're not following, or, so there's control with all of that, especially with today's smartphones. I want to ensure that, and as well as internet technology and the internet technology, the apps, the websites are more keen and more, cognizant of being more aware of what people need, and people need to rest and take self-care, and that's very important, and I've been practicing that this week too. It's very important to practice self-care. It's very important to step away from the machine. I did tonight for a majority of the evening, but I just felt I needed to come on and do these vlogs tonight because I really wanted to, and they were fresh on my mind. But defining those boundaries, defining what is okay to say online and who to say it to, whether or not to connect to other people, whether or not to allow them to connect to other people. Just follow the basic criteria. There's some great educational things out there, and I will share those on the vlog if I find them tonight. But just finding what works for them, and some autistics may not want anything to do with it, and as long as you personally feel that that's acceptable to have the safeguards on, that's your issue, that's your need, and that's your cares, it's your position, and that's fine. And we say having to connect with others, that's a challenge. I get it. I've longed for friends for a long time. It's not something that's easy to discuss, and I don't like to share it. But it's you have to build them connections with safety and trust, and you have to do your research on your connections. You have to do your research on every profile. As you get older, I feel there should be a curriculum about internet safety that's more cohesive and more conducive to autistic learners, and interest led, maybe possibly. How do I make it so it's interesting to each and every autistic? Things like that, things of that nature. We have to make it interesting, or we're gonna lose grasp of what we're teaching, the skills of safety, very quickly and real fast, real downhill. So I just want to ensure, just to be sure when you're setting your boundaries, that you know what you're sharing, what you're not sharing, and I did catch on it a good bit in the Blessed vlog, but in knowing when to say no, sometimes it's okay to say no. Sometimes it's okay to ignore things. Sometimes it's okay just to be yourself. And I just want to say that even though you feel people encourage you, and I know it's a lot. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people who want to see things about people, want to learn things about people, and you have to build that trust. I have to instill that enough. You have to build that trust of an understanding of put all the stranger danger, work through it, build that trust and have an understanding, because you have to define boundaries for you, what you share, what you don't share, what is safe, what is a safe word, what is safe and what is not safe to share. Those boundaries all have to be determined. And it's the same with oversharing, but it's a little different because it may include your body, it may include your home, what you share in your home, what's on your walls, what's in your house, where you go, what things, identifiers on buildings or places you live, street signs, tags on blogs or stories. All those things are identifiable, and it could be a stranger danger thing. So and autistics are known to associate with strangers and they don't do their research, and it can cause some very cohesive, very tricky, and very complicated situations, very dangerous. I've read about it in many conferences. Read it in many books. There's many examples out there, whether it be in the sexuality realm, or the dating realm, or anything. It's just when you open that door up about yourself, you just have to be very careful, very specific, very very guarded with what you share, and what you put out there online, because what you may think that nobody may see, there could be always an opportunity for the wrong person to get a hold of your information. And you have to be the guard. I always say you have to be the Swiss guard of your information. You have to be like the Pope's Swiss guard if he should pass, and you should have to, guard that information with your life and dance around it as much as you can. So, that's a key there. It's a very important key. So I did want to close with that. So as always, thank you. It's been an early but good week. I'm going to do some relaxing over the weekend. Try to, enjoy myself over the weekend. So I thought I'd get the vlogs done a little early, and I had some free time tonight. So as always, like, follow, subscribe, Dustin's Dynasty on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, on the web at dustinsdynastyusa.com. Thank you, and have a good week.